Okay, I'll just start like
Bro.
wherever, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's this new game coming out, if you've heard of it, called Hytale.
And there's 10 things you need to
Yeah,
know
as you
about.
know, there's 10 things that you need to know about this game.
Boy!
Okay.
I bet you haven't heard my voice pretty this while. Anyways, yeah, Hytale. It's a pretty crazy game.
Yeah. Yep. We both watched the trailer of it, so we know that much, right?
Yeah, and honestly, I think more than anything, I just would like to make comparisons. And like, for one thing, I love like how much they've actually given, especially in terms of the website itself, with even on just the straight up splash page, like all the crazy. Hold on a second, I just lost the page. God damn it.
Well, I will carry on from what you were saying. From how this page is laid out and all the work they put into the name and the way it's like the logo and the way it's laid out and all the media and community and all that stuff, it looks like they're willing to listen to the community. They've been working on it for a long time. They put a lot of love into it, and they really want it to be good from what I see.
Yeah, and I think more than anything too, I really like how. I mean, from a loving standpoint, it's called Minecraft 2, but even more so, I think that it's deserving of that title just in terms of how much it has, because it takes so much from voxel-based games and then sort of builds on it. Because right now, and because I mean, just being on the webpage and just based on what you've seen on the actual reveal trailer, I think it's really important to realize just how much they've taken from everything that they've done on their own server and everything they've taken from Minecraft, and even like from stuff like Roblox, and just sort of like developed and turned it into their own thing. And like, I say Roblox, like coming from a standpoint of legitimacy, considering how that was like both Jonathan and I's first ever voxel-based game, which then introduced us to Minecraft.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an important, I guess the right word is, thing.
Sort of a jumping off point, you know.
Yeah, it's an important position to realize everything from, because throughout the trailer, and like I'm pretty sure Jonathan will edit this to make it fit just right, but like all the way the animals are animated and all the way things go resemble a lot of mods, and like Jonathan can just kind of boop them on the screen in order to like show like which mods kind of like show, like for example, like the rabbit and the fox animations moving, but also like the idea where like these voxel based graphics can also have humanoid based limbs, which is something that Roblox sort of took to, especially Roblox is taken to now with like having like the bending legs, the bending arms, amongst other things, including, and my personal favorite, what looks like a combat system that looks, it looks realisticer.
Okay, I'm gonna
realisticer, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull this back a little bit for now, just so we can go a little step by step, you know. So, as you guys may or may not know, Tristan and I were kind of the Minecraft guys whenever it was early on in its development. Like, Tristan showed me the game, like, after he found it from Roblox. Like, we started at Roblox, he showed me Minecraft, and we've been playing that game for a long time, right?
Since beta 1.2.
Yeah, that was basically the biggest, like, one of the biggest games that we played when we were younger. So, Hytale's being made by Hypixel, who is someone who is really big in the Minecraft community. He actually has the biggest server in any sort of game. He won an award for biggest independent server in a video game.
Wonderful server too.
It is a good server.
Absolutely marvelous.
I do wish it had more than just minigames sometimes, but they are really good at making those types of things. And I've consistently seen like people talk who know Simon, who is Hytale or Hypixel. They talk about him and they know that he's very dedicated to making quality things. Like, he likes to hire good people, code really good games, and that makes me look more forward to the game. Like, how would you say your interest is in the game? Like, how would you rank it, Tristan?
Well, here's my thing, and I feel like this is kind of varied from the fact that, well, for one thing, the page itself, and also like even like referring back to an archaic channel of times past, I have interest in a lot of things the same way sort of how Andrew does, but like it's a bit more narrowed towards the adventure-y and also sometimes FPS-y sort of file, if not FPS straight up, not FPS, but like just FP.
Yeah.
Like anything to do with first person can be generally really interesting to me. And I feel like a lot of that just kind of deals with the immersion of actually being there.
Yeah, I
and
get
how
that.
how it changes your perspective from, oh, I'm controlling someone while doing this, which works for certain games, say for like Smash, and like, let's say if you're playing like a really like a goofy character on like Skyrim or something. But if you like, or if you actually like want to take a Skyrim playthrough seriously, more often than not, you'll like put yourself in the middle of it, regardless of whatever shortcomings that may or may not give you. Because I mean, there are also obvious tactical and misadvantages to all this. And Minecraft also has this third-person mode, which, in my opinion, isn't wonderful, but at the same time still serves its purpose for what it can do.
It's best for screenshots, to be fair.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like,
but like so is F1.
Yeah. And I fully understand that, because one of the big reasons I play games, like I have several reasons. I like to just mess around with friends. I like to go through a good story. But more than anything, like my number one reason is probably escapism or immersion. I like to put myself in the shoes of the character and imagine myself in that world. And these types of games kind of, since they don't have a set story or anything like that, like you do whatever you want to do, it kind of fills that role for me.
They depend on that too. They depend on you caring about the world.
Yeah, and exploring it and finding what it has to hide. And I want to talk a little bit about how the game looks, because Minecraft graphics are pretty well known, very pixelated. You can basically customize the textures of everything like that. But Hytale looks to take that sort of style and evolve it in a way. And instead of having pixels everywhere, it is still a blocky art style, but there's more curves, there's more like gradients. It's a lot more like detailed.
It's sort of like if you played Minecraft with a shaders pack almost.
Yeah, except with even more like curves and bends and all sorts of stuff. Like, what is your impression of the art style from the trailer? I'm curious.
Generally speaking, I kind of like how they took. Well, because in my opinion, the most important thing is they're essentially like this is more to me than anything like a literal passion project made for Minecraft.
Yeah.
Because you have all the like, and let's just go ahead flash some pictures on the screen. But like, sort of taking how like people do all these things in Minecraft, where like whether or not they make videos, whether or not they do a world edit and build massive projects, whether or not they are into like messing around with command blocks or owning servers, like all the sort of creative things that people would do. Let's say like in the case of building, where like, okay, you want to build like a table, you'd use like a fence post, and then you'd use like carpet, or you'd use like a pressure plate, and that's your table. Or let's say you wanted to make like sort of like an umbrella, you could do the exact same thing with the exact same thing with the exact same materials. They're giving these things that really don't seem like they have a purpose, mainly because like it's all aesthetic and like actually giving it life. And I feel like that's a general theme that's not exploited, but like a general theme that's prevalent through the entire deal. Whereas, say for example, character design, where like now you have characters that have like truly did like really, really well designed armor, as opposed to like, just a sheet of shaded iron as iron armor. Now it's like there'll be dragon armor, there'll be wyvern armor, there'll be like dwarven, in literal reference to like standard RPG tropish type stuff. You're gonna have that in this game, which I think is really good.
Yeah, it does look like they're adding way more variety of armor types, of weapon types, of items than something like Minecraft does. And it's taking that sort of, like Minecraft is way more sandboxy and like buildy and that type of thing. It looks like this game is kind of throwing in a lot more adventure elements, like gear from dungeons and beating bosses and all sorts of unique items and things that all have a unique feel, rather than just having 4 different armor types or 5 and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So speaking of something like the adventure in the game, I want to talk about the game modes that are in the game, or the 3 main tenets that they sort of promote. And if you go to the game tab on the website, it'll talk about the 3.
Yeah.
So the first one is adventure mode, which is sort of like what I would expect to be the main game mode.
Vanilla survival, that kind of deal.
Yeah, that type of thing. So if you think of like Minecraft adventure mode, or sandbox mode you could call it, you kind of just wander around, you break stuff, you explore, you go underground. But this one looks to be a bit different, because as it says, there's sort of a history to the world, and there are many handcrafted scenarios. And I talk about it in the 10 Things to Know About Hytale video, but there are several different structures that spawn throughout the world, and there's sort of an overlying story or an underlying story, I should say, that you're supposed to discover through exploration, through exploring dungeons and that type of thing. Personally, I think it seems pretty interesting. It seems like a mix sort of between something like Minecraft, where it's just pure like exploration. There's not much, like there's not many dungeons or anything like that. It's basically just a world and you build whatever you want. And Terraria, where you do have all these pre-made dungeons and you have...
My general take on this is I like it, but I don't think it's necessary to the general experience of it, because a lot of what makes vanilla Minecraft so good is that you can just push the absolute limits of what you can do. Obviously, this won't be Minecraft, which is why I kind of like how they're sort of sneaking this in and like having like, because, yeah,
I know what you're trying to say. Yeah,
the thing that I think is important to recognize is that when it comes to this sort of style of game where it's like sandboxy, it's important to recognize that the main basis of the game is sandbox. Granted, it will be really nice because it almost takes a sort of Terraria kind of route, you know, where like it's still sandbox. Terraria by definition is sandbox, but it has like all the crazy stuff that you can go to build up to, which therefore gives reason for having 20-30 sets of armor. I'm not sure how much armor is in there, but more armor than there is in Minecraft.
Yeah, way more.
And more weapons and more tools because because the game itself gets bigger, which I think makes this good too, because it makes the game bigger and it gives you more reason to like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna enchant my diamond armor and be set.
Yeah, and it seems to really be putting a focus. Like I think this is one of the main ways it's trying to differentiate itself from Minecraft. The game doesn't want to be seen as Minecraft too, even, well, kind of does. It's definitely inspired of Minecraft. They hold that on the sleeve, you know, that's very clear. But the one way it's differentiating itself is that its adventure mode, its main mode, is not just the building that you do in Minecraft, but also has sort of RPG type stuff where you get better armor, you have magic, you have equipment, you have bosses to defeat and stuff like that. And I like that approach because it's not gonna like kill Minecraft. I think Minecraft will still be there if you want the purely creative experience. But I mean, technically it could, but I think it'll always be there to play. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But this game will take a sort of like more adventure-y approach where there's a lot of dungeons to explore, but you can still do the building that you could do in Minecraft though, if you want to.
And that's where I feel like a lot of it varies. Just because, especially in the case of Minecraft, where things get crazy is when you essentially master the entire world to the point where you have all this garbage to do whatever you want. And not like it's garbage, but you end up getting so much stuff that it becomes essentially worthless. Like you end up having stacks upon stacks of diamond blocks. Or you have this massive sorting redstone system that like you're not even sure you need, but you have it because you can.
Yeah, and I'll say one of my major complaints with Minecraft is like when you start out a world, your immediate goal is just get diamonds as fast as possible, get your gear upgraded as fast as possible, because you don't want to actually build anything until you have good enough equipment that you can gather the resources to build it without hassle, right? Because if you're trying to build like a giant castle right away with like stone pickaxes, it'll take you like weeks to get it done, and it'll be really frustrating, really time consuming. But then if you just pursue all the diamond stuff right away, like that's your max tier equipment. You have nowhere else to go from there. And you get to that so quickly now. Like if you're skilled at Minecraft at all, you can just go straight into the cave, find iron, find diamonds right away, go to the nether. And then even like the ending of something like Minecraft is kind of lackluster. Because you kind of just go to the end dimension. And you of course you kill like one of the only 2 bosses in the game, the Ender Dragon. And then you just go through the end portal, and then there's just this weird credit sequence that doesn't make that much sense. It was really interesting the first time, but I kind of wish there was some more post-game stuff in something like Minecraft.
Yeah.
It looks like a game like this could have way more content in terms of like continuously finding upgrades and defeating bosses to find some new rare loot. And even like way into the game, you could find something that's still useful to you. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is where I feel Hytale is going to improve the most off of vanilla Minecraft. And this is once again completely comparing vanilla Minecraft to this, because obviously if you want to mod Minecraft, you can make it literally whatever you want. But especially in this case, that is generally the biggest and most like prevalent issue, where Minecraft just doesn't have enough. It doesn't give you enough to do.
Yeah.
You obviously can like make your own story and do everything your way, but what's to say they can't give you just a couple more bones to toss?
Mm-hmm.
And this then starts tapping into the psychology of why Minecraft was created. But in short, essentially, like, it's good because you're gonna have more stuff to do. And I also, and this is like, I guess something to bleed into next bit, but like the general physics of the engine too, I think are gonna be really, really good. And how it's like, even in just like certain screen caps they've taken of it with like items strewn about and this here and that there, how they're taking how they're taking the idea of like voxel based graphics and letting it just kind of exist in a normal world. So let's say, for example, you can like throw your sword and like have it displayed somewhere, while also not having it be like Minecraft, where it's like it's just floating on the ground ready for someone to be picked up. Like you don't have to put it in like a frame to display it. And that's a smaller thing that then expands into a larger thing.
Yeah, and I'm gonna kind of like combine all these things together in that, like, this game seems like it has a lot more options for play than something like Minecraft. Like Minecraft, you play vanilla survival a couple of times, then you're tired of it. Like, and you can mod all sorts of things in, of course, but just the way Minecraft is designed, people have almost sort of hit the limit of what you can mod into the game. Like, I know not quite, but nowadays people are just combining tons of mod packs because they just want to fit in as many as possible, because it's hard to create something new and innovative now. But something because the base tool set is already limited, so you can only go so far from that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just looking at Hytale and just thinking, imagine all the mods they can make with all the new systems that will be in this type of thing. You know, the new, like, combining the physics engine, people could use that physics engine for all sorts of things. Like the magic system, like there's not really magic in Minecraft, so that'll be a whole new style of combat too.
Yes.
There's all sorts of things they could do.
And why not? Let's just go ahead and just get into like this full sort of idea of the combat system.
Yeah.
I do personally really, really like where this is going.
Yeah.
For one thing, Minecraft's combat system was good but never robust. Mm-hmm. And then they destroyed it.
1.9.
And I mean, honestly, it's not even that bad of like a thing.
Yeah, it's not
especially considering if you like, because like, let's just go ahead and discuss this mainly within the context of excuse me. Let's just go ahead and see if we can discuss this mainly in the context of like vanilla Minecraft, because the way the attacks worked and the way stamina worked and how like you had sort of like special mini abilities with certain weapons, I thought that was really, really clever, and it like made certain weapons viable in certain situations, and it made vanilla Minecraft much more nuanced, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you're gonna play like a full PvP game, like, you don't want Minecraft isn't natural for someone to be able to place a 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter block of dirt like on top of itself, and then just pillar 10 I don't know, let's say like 10 meters in the air, and then karate chop someone in the head, spamming axe, or spamming like your axe. Granted, that's what you can do in Minecraft, and I feel like it's important to maintain that integrity, which a lot of servers did do properly with combat, like allowing people to still play on 1.9. So
a lot of servers just kept the old combat system after the combat update.
Yeah. Which I think is really good, because it maintains the integrity of certain things. Because in like a 1v1 scenario, say if combat does become more realistic in this game, I think it would be very, very interesting, because then it's like resource management, and like it becomes more of like a fighting game than anything.
Yeah.
And if it stays like that, that's great. And if that's the main intention, that's great. But it didn't work in Minecraft because it essentially felt like a nerf in general. And nerfs aren't fun because everyone got it and everyone kind of sucked, which is why things stayed the way they are.
Yeah, there's a reason why the 1.9 update was so controversial. Like, it completely changed how battles were fought, and that's why a lot of servers had to keep the old one, because a lot of people hated the new system. I personally, like, I was alright with it for like vanilla and stuff, but I did prefer the old system for things like minigames and any sort of PvP battle I do. Because it's so annoying whenever you're able to like you know you're hitting them, but it's barely dealing any damage because you're hitting them too quickly or something like that.
Yes.
So, but either way, it looks like they're working hard in the PvP here, and based off the FAQ, there's a question that says, can you tell us more about PvP? It says they made a conscious decision so far to only touch lightly on it, because they know they're being held to high standards. Like, they know the controversy in Minecraft, so they're trying to take requests and feedback, and they're going to continue to take them once Hytale is public, and they're going to be tweaking it over time in order to try and make a
hopefully
try and make a fair system.
It's important to be skeptical of those kind of things, but
yeah, that's the hard thing. Like, you need to get PvP right if you're going to have fun like games in there.
Mm-hmm. Because PvP, well, for one thing, PvP is like half of vanilla. Because if this is going to be much more adventure-y, it's going to have to be a robust system, especially with like what will be in the game. Granted, like that I'm not negating the existence of bugs and saying like, oh yeah, if you can like spam like, or if you can find a glitch that allows you to like spam mage bolts, like I don't want to play this game, but it's more like it's more along the lines of like, as long as like they do something smart with it and communicate. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, so this is exactly how this will work. This is exactly how this will work. This damage will do this. This will be this. Let's say, for example, they do something wild and have like a weapon triangle or something. Let's say, like they have in Fire Emblem. I'd be fine with that too, as long as they like make it apparent how exactly it works.
Yeah. As long as the system is clear, like they need to just make a good balance between the ranged weapons, the magic, and the melee, and make sure everything's viable against each other and that type of thing.
Yes.
Which is a delicate balance, and there's high potential to mess it up. But if they get it right, could be really good.
Yes, because and this then blends into the fact of like just like general like RPG sort of like weapon types anyways, because like let's just go ahead and list off, I guess, what may or may not be involved in the game. So we're probably gonna have standard swords. It looks like based on art within like the actual like the game page, like standard swords. We may or may not have lances. We're gonna have shields. We're gonna have mage staffs. I'm not sure if we'll have tomes. Tomes would be really nice, but that's probably a mage staff. We're gonna have heavy axes.
Yeah, there's definitely heavy axes and that type of thing. Yeah.
And we may or may not have lances. So how exactly will that work? Will the swords be sort of like the run-of-the-mill? Will the swords kind of be like the run-of-the-mill, like master of all, or good at everything, master of nothing kind of deal? Is the axe gonna be like the big heavy swing? Like how exactly, like what's gonna differentiate and what will like trump what? Because it's important to understand too that there's like if it's gonna be like good here, there's gonna have to be a meta.
Yeah.
And this is like opening a huge can of worms in terms of like competitive play, because once again they state competitive play, but this opens a huge can of worms in terms of like what will be good, what won't be good. So like, okay, how long, for example, let's say if like they include like a fire staff, which I mean they 100% will if there's an ice staff right there. But let's say for their fire staff it has a strong attack and a weak attack. What are the cooldowns on that? What's the range on that?
And how quick will the bolts fly? And sorry to cut you off, but this is sort of like, this is all speculation for now. They haven't revealed much about combat, so we can probably talk more about it once it is revealed. Like once you have to get a taste for it, you have to try it to know how good it is. You know?
Yeah.
You can't just look at it.
But it's still most important to realize like these are things that you're gonna have to consider whenever you start playing, because once again, competitive play is stated in this, so competitive play and like certain and like specifics of what they're displaying to us are going to have to be important.
Yeah. Okay.
So certain trumps are going to have to be necessary. So like, and even so, we could even tie this back in like regular Minecraft. Regular Minecraft, for example, the axe has the strongest kill potential out of I think most weapons.
Yeah.
If I'm correct, and the sword has less kill potential but has a larger hitbox.
Yeah, and also less wait time. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you have so each is like sort of like focused in a certain direction, and then you have the bows, and then you have I think the crossbow now, and I haven't played with the crossbow yet.
Yeah, that's a new thing.
But I mean, but you have everything that's sort of like designed in a certain area. The only issue now is that there's going to be two different types of ranged attacks. The same, like where essentially like you'll have someone firing a ghast ball versus someone with a bow and arrow.
Yeah.
Like, what's going to make one better than the other, if there will be any difference at all?
Mm-hmm. Anyway,